Good afternoon. My name is Stephen Herwire. I'm the owner of Herwire Financial. Today, after the market roundup, we're going to be talking about what type of business should be set up. And I don't mean a hot dog stand or barber shop. I mean what form the business takes. Today is August 25th of 2023. As of last night, the Dow Jones Industrial Average closed at 34,099.42, up 2.64%. The S&P 500 closed at 4,375.99. Year to date is up almost 14%. NASDAQ 100 closed at 14,815.94. Year to date, almost up 37%. Gold closed at $1,916.78 per ounce. Year to date, it is up 5.13%. The Bitcoin index closed at 26,020.08. Year to date, it's up over 57%. US dollar index closed at 104.03. Year to date, it is up a little bit more than 0.5%. 10-year Treasury closed at 4.23%. It is up 0.35% from its year start. And finally, the S&P aggregate bond index closed at 197.01. Year to date, almost up a full percent. I think this is the first time in recent memory that all of these have been up for the year. Okay, what type of business shall I set up? The universal answer to many questions like this are, it depends. How many owners will there be? Are you looking for liability protection? Are you looking for more capital? Are you looking for tax advantages? These are just a few of the questions that you need to consider before setting up a business. Let me give you a few cautions, though. This is not legal or tax advice. Consult the appropriate legal and tax professionals prior to proceeding with any kind of business setup. And be sure those professionals you consult are proficient in these areas. A patent attorney might be terrific when it comes to intellectual property and that sort of thing, but they may not know how to set up a business. So make sure it's somebody that does that sort of thing all the time. And a financial professional like me can put together an overall game plan, but when it comes to drafting the documents and making sure the different codes are followed, you need to grab somebody, and I can help, that's a lawyer that does these sort of things, or an accountant that does these sort of things. What types of businesses are there? The two main categories, unincorporated and incorporated businesses. Okay, of the five basic types of unincorporated businesses, there is the sole proprietor. There is the general partnership. There are the limited partnerships, and then there are the limited liability partnerships. And lastly, the limited liability company, also known as the LLC. Incorporated businesses. There are C corporations and there are subchapter S corporations. These are the major ones. So every one of these types of business setups has a time where it's appropriate, and it has its advantages and disadvantages. Okay, for the sole proprietorship, let's start off with the first thing here is unlimited liability. Basically, if your business gets sued, they can go after all your assets except where the law provides other provisions. Very flexible. Your sole proprietorship, you make all the decisions. You also have all the responsibility too. There's only one owner. There's what's called pass-through taxation, which means the profit or loss of the business gets put on your individual tax form. There may be state registration, there may be licensing required. And if the proprietor dies, the proprietorship is over. Done. General partnership. Like the sole proprietorship, there is unlimited liability. But also means they can come after you for something your partner did. So keep that in mind. It's very flexible, not quite as flexible as the sole proprietorship, because generally you have to have the other partners consent to do something or not to do something. You've got two or more owners. The taxation is passed through. The profits and losses will be attributed to the various owners. And usually that's determined by the partnership agreement, and can be written or verbal. I always prefer written. There may be state registration and there may be some sort of licensing depending on what you're doing. And if any one of the partners dies, a partnership is over unless it's otherwise noted in the partnership agreement. And a new partner can be admitted to the partnership in the event all of the other partners agree. Limited partnership. Okay, this is a little bit different than a general partnership, because in a limited partnership, you've got at least one general partner and one limited partner. Now, if you're the general partner, the liability is unlimited. If the business gets sued, they can go after all your stuff, except as provided by law. But as the general partner, you have management control under the partnership agreement. Limited partners, the limit of their liability is how much capital they contributed. The taxation is passed through, it gets signed to everybody's individual tax returns. And there's usually a partnership agreement, written or verbal. There might be state registration and there might be licensing. That's why you bring the attorneys and the accountants in, because they know this stuff better than I ever will. Death of a limited partner does not end the partnership. Death of a general partner will, unless otherwise provided for. Limited liability partnership, also known as an LLP. All the partners have limited liability. All partners have management control as specified in the partnership agreement, which can be written or verbal. Got to be at least two partners. Taxation, like most of the rest of the stuff we've talked about today, is passed through. It gets put on everybody's individual tax returns. As I mentioned before, there's a partnership agreement. There may be state registration and there may be licensing. And if a limited partner dies, it does not terminate the LLP. And finally, of the unincorporated businesses, the limited liability company. All members, now in an LLC, the partners are not called partners, they're called members. So the liability is limited for them, but all members have management control under the operating agreement. There got to be, in most cases, at least two members. There are a few states out there, I'm told, that will allow a one-member LLC. Now, as far as the taxation goes, it depends on how you set it up. If you set it up to be taxed as a partnership, then all the stuff I've been telling you about partnerships before applies here. Or they can decide to act as a corporation for tax purposes. Instead of a partnership agreement, there's an operating agreement. It should be written. There may be state registration and there may be licensing. And death of a member ends the LLC unless otherwise specified in the operating agreement. By the way, for any of these things where your liability is limited, if you're doing the management and you do something that's wrong, you can get sued for it. Or if somebody you're supervising does, you can be sued and you can be liable for it. Corporation. It's the first of the incorporated, as indicated by the word corporation. Shareholders are liable for the amount invested. Generally speaking, if you add capital to a corporation, worst thing that can happen is you can lose all that you contributed. You have voting rights and you get to elect a board of directors. There's got to be at least one shareholder. Corporation is a separate taxpayer. Corporate formalities are required, and death of the shareholder does not change the status of the corporation. The corporation continues to exist as a separate legal entity with perpetual life. Subchapter S, corporations. Shareholders are liable for the amount invested. The worst thing that can happen is you can lose all your money. You have voting rights and you get to elect a board of directors, there's got to be at least one shareholder. In this case, the corporation is not a separate taxpayer, so the corporation's profit and losses flow through to your individual tax returns. But it does require corporate formalities, and death of a shareholder, like with the C corporation, doesn't change the status of the corporation. It continues to exist as a separate legal entity with perpetual life. As you can see, this stuff's really complicated. You need professional help getting this set up. Not only the lawyers and the accountants, but you also need a financial planner to help with the overall game plan. No Facebook Live next week. Everybody have a great Labor Day. And as always, I am a planner. So if you're thinking about setting up a business, come talk to me. We can develop an overall plan. If you already have a business in place, one day you're going to want to no longer be involved in the corporate or in your business. So we got to have a plan to help you get it to where you want it to go when you're done with it. And you might be saying, well, Steve, I'm not planning on doing anything anytime soon. It's like, well, you may not plan to, but a large number of people who own businesses suddenly are forced out of their business, whether it's death, disability, disagreement, whatever. Having a plan will always will increase the chances that your family and yourself will be taken care of. I can be reached at herwirefinancial.com. I do in-person, Zoom, and phone appointments. I am licensed and registered across several states and can easily add states if there's a need. If you'd like to schedule an appointment, click on the Schedule an Appointment button at the upper right-hand corner of the website. Want to see more videos like this? Go to my website, click on the YouTube channel button. That's that red button, 2 over from the Schedule Appointment. Please like and follow me on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And if you want to reach me by telephone, 518-631-2569. Don't text me there. It won't reach me. Few important disclosures. Opinions voiced in this material are for general information only, not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance referenced is historical. No guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and cannot be invested in directly. All data is believed to be from reliable sources. However, no representation is made as to its completeness or accuracy. None of this is to be construed as tax or legal advice. Consult your advisor prior to taking any action. Have a nice day.